compulsive overeater. I'm a binge eater. I'm a purger. I'm a food addict. I am a drug addict. And the best part of the whole story is I'm in recovery.
And I'm a drug addict, alcoholic, anorexic in recovery. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And we get together every Sunday morning to discuss recovery, how it works for us. We're two friends. We have a conversation with other friends in our family and our community. If you'd like to join us, we live stream on Facebook. You can join us on live in our virtual room as well. Just go to our Facebook page while wait for recovery and log in. Or you can also watch us on YouTube. Welcome.
Yeah, so speaking of YouTube, so this morning, in the morning we look at what's trending on YouTube so we could have a little conversation about it. And trending on YouTube this morning is about some dude named Casey, correct? And he weighs over 700 pounds, and he was going outside to take a bath because he couldn't fit in the bathtub. And it's talking about the problem, and nobody's talking about the solution. And so what we do here at Why Wait for Recovery is, you guys know you got 15 seconds for your challenge, and we have 15 years to discuss the solution. And when we talk about something like that, and in the YouTube, it spoke about his dad and his dad's resentments a little bit, just touched on things a little bit, but kind of talked about enabling and never talked about not enabling or getting rid of that challenge. And so this morning, I'd like to talk about some challenges that we have. We've been talking about acceptance, perspective, and boundaries. And how we set our relationships up with others, and how we allow others to be in relationships with us, and what that looks like. And enabling, a lot of times, codependency is a big part of our addiction. And so a lot of us are codependent, or we allow that relationship, right, with others, with us. And so I think that's something super important to talk about. And good morning, I'm glad everybody's here this morning. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I think there's that element that if your life was as bad as mine, you'd used to.
Okay, so now we're all victims now.
Right, so we're all victims. So when I'm in that using mode, and when when I was using, because it's been a while, but the chaos that I created in my world made it really easy to pick up, because then I could justify it to myself, and it all became about the whys. Why am I doing this? Why it's okay? Why not? And it became that whole story, and it became a perpetual cycle.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that. When you say the chaos that we created, so our life is our life. What's happening around us is happening around us. What I choose to look at, that's what's going to define whether I'm in recovery, right, or whether I'm in the middle of the problem. So if I choose to look at what's wrong, you guys, we talk about gratitude all the time. If I choose to look at what's wrong and do that, oh, woe is me thing, then it does give me that excuse to use. And when I choose to look at what's good and how I want my life to be, it takes me out of that victim mode.
And when I'm in that using mode, this takes me back to thinking, and actually makes me remember, I thought that I was in control of everyone. I was watching what my kids were doing and my husband was doing, and what my clients were doing, and my employees were doing, and everything was doing, and I thought I controlled this world, and it was very easy to judge what they were doing and be very judgmental, instead of really taking the time to turn around and look at me, where I fitted into the picture. And it became really easy to divert my thinking to not really look where the real issue started sitting, which was really in me.
Right, and that issue is always in us, right? Because I choose the way that I look at things. You guys, does life happen? Of course it does, right? People pass away. I'm sorry for your losses. We all are. We missed you. People pass away, and people get sick, and people get into car accidents, and all of those things happen. Are we going to react to those? Of course we are. We're human beings, right? Of course we are. Are we going to get sad? Are we going to get angry? Are we going to not wake up every morning and think, wow, like my life is so amazing no matter what's going on? We're not going to do that. But for the majority of the time, we can choose to look at what does make us happy and what is good that's in this day. And when things aren't going right, and when we are in pain, or we're sad, or we're scared, how long we stay there before we reach out and say, okay, I need to give you my 15 seconds worth of my challenge this morning, because I want you to help me step into the solution. How do I feel better? How do I get better? How do I step into the solution? Help me do that, please. Instead of just sitting where we are and inviting other people to sit where we are with us. And that's another thing too, is that we know which people we speak to that love to hang out in our chaos, that love to get off on our sadness or our scaredness and then we know what people, which are the people that a lot of times we don't call, when we know that there are those people that are going to say, okay, like, what do we do to make this better?
And I also think, there's that element where all this chaos is happening around us, and we end up hurting ourselves. With everything going on, the stuff that we do, no matter what is happening and what the people around us are doing, at the end of the day, our actions actually just end up hurting us.
Right, and they're our actions, right? Our actions, not your actions, but my actions, right? I don't get to choose your actions, Bonnie, but I do get to choose mine. I don't get to choose how you feel about this subject, but I do get to choose how I feel, right? And so it's knowing that the world is turning around us, again, acceptance. The world turns the way that it does. Some people think everything happens for a reason. I believe everything happens. And how we take a look at what's happening and how we choose to learn and move forward, that's about us.
So can I just quickly give real life example?
Yeah, sure.
So my father just passed away, which happens, and I miss him, and he was awesome, and it sucks, and there's no way around this and making it better. It just it is. So I'm Jewish, and we sit Shiva, and during Shiva, people send in food, and not only do they send in food, they send in a lot of food, and not only that, my one child uses as well, and we're driving around, so I've got the food option because I'm a food addict if I want to use, because things are terrible and I'm sad and I'm feeling all these feelings, which is quite amazing that we're capable of doing that, because before it was either good or bad. Now all of a sudden it's a million different feelings that come with this process. So I had an option to pick up that. My son he smokes marijuana. He'd go, here's where my dealer lives, so I've got another option to use that. And there's so many times during this process that would be so much easier just to either fit in or fit out, and just kind of check out and not be part of this process and just not have to deal with it and pick up and use and say, well, I could then start again tomorrow or Monday or whatever that looked like. And that's part of the challenge. Recovery is never easy.
Right, but it's always worth it.
But it's always a choice.
Always worth it.
It's always a choice. At the end of the day, it's a choice that we make, because picking up isn't going to make the situation any better.
Right. And the amazing thing is that we do think at that moment that it's going to make it better. We definitely do. And so what we do is we pick up, and then after, not only do we get to feel the sad or scared or whatever we were feeling, but then we get to feel guilty and ashamed and like shit about ourselves too. So we get to pile on all of that extra and now really have a woe is me and do it all over again.
And not only that, it's also been our go-to. For me, it was my default go-to. That was the way that I soothed myself, the way I calmed myself, the way I fed myself emotionally and spiritually. So those were the behaviors I've been doing so long, and learning this new way of being or new way of doing things is a process. It's not something that just someone gives it to you and you can do it. So it's a continual process of being challenged and continual learning opportunities, and I think that is the big thing. So to be able to speak up of where we're at right now is really important.
Yeah, I'm gonna commend Liz. Has really had a challenge, right, for the last week, Liz, and you spoke about it, and you shared about it, and Liz, no matter what assignment I give her, no matter how much she hates me for it, she does it. So good job, you. And you get to have that little tiny bit of a turning point, which I hope is happening for you more right now. So I'm really proud of you, and I'm proud of you. I'm hoping that you're not using, and I'm proud of you for reaching out and being honest. You said some things, I'm not going to repeat them unless you want to discuss them, but you said some things on what's eating you that I almost have to smile when I read, because it's about the horror that you're going through, and I'm like, shit, like every one of us has been there, And does that make your ouch easier? Absolutely not. Does it make your ouch so real for all of us? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so you reaching out allows us, and I know that that's not why you do it, but you reach out when you're in pain and say what you're going through, and it actually allows you to be of service to others. It allows others to look at it and say, oh my God, like I'm not the only person that felt that way. You know, I can remember the first time I was sponsoring some little girl, and the first time that she said to me, that it took her so long to say to me, you know, that she used to eat out of the garbage pail. You know, she would clean up after dinner and then put like the tinfoil down so she could put the food on top of the tinfoil. And she would go back a couple of hours later and eat the food. And she was so scared, you know, and felt so like demoralized to tell me. And my response was like, okay, like everybody does that. It's the truth. Like all bingers, like I've never met somebody that binged that didn't, if they didn't do it, at least thought about it. But the majority of bingers do. It's like, you know, it's like whatever, like you're gonna flush your pills down the toilet, you know, and then like you've got your hand in the middle of the toilet, no matter what's in there, you know, looking to grab those Percocet out. And it sucks and it's scary, and you guys were gonna find out that our addiction makes us all exactly the same. We're all exactly the same, especially when we're deep in it. We're full of disgust and shame and demoralization. And we step into recovery, and no matter how difficult it is at times, it still allows us to redefine ourselves and redefine our life and get some happy, you know, redefine ourselves spiritually and work through those really, really hard things that are there that life gives us to work through, and come out better on the other side, and know that we can come out better on the other side, and we can learn from it, and that setbacks are okay, and that wanting to use is just a wanting, right? It's a feeling. Feelings aren't facts. And I know that you went through a lot, so I'm really proud of you for getting through it. So I'd like to start with Liz this morning. And Liz, either what you want to share, what you don't want to share, it's going to be up to you. But if you could share about what you're going through, I think it might be helpful for others, but whatever you feel comfortable with.
Sure. I'm still trying to like pinpoint where this came from. Like why did it start? Yeah, I know. That's like my old brain.
Yeah, stop
always
it.
wanting to know the why. Why? Yeah, but that doesn't really help.
No, it doesn't.
It just kind of like keeps me in that crazy mode.
Yeah, almost like if I knew the why, then maybe I could control it for next time. It's kind of like, you know how I posted the other night, you know, when it's raining to let it rain, which we say a lot, right? You want to find out why it's raining? Like, who cares? We're not weathermen, right? It's raining. Oh, okay. I feel using today. Okay.
I guess I'm finding this week that the best way to get through this is to stop worrying about the why and just accept it that it is. I don't really have I never had like some big epiphany, you know, about it. It's just, I'm just kind of going through the motions, looking at my day, saying, okay, it's time to do the dishes. It's time to do this. It's time to do that. It's like hour by hour again. And I'm doing better. I started feeling a lot better yesterday, and I'm feeling well today. So
good, I'm so glad.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to it.
Okay, and do you want to share what you put up on What's Eating You, or no?
Sure. I don't remember what day it was. It was earlier in the week. We had ordered in some food for lunch, and you know, I ate lunch like normal, had my normal portion and was finished, and I just put the container in the trash and went about my day. And 2 or 3 hours later, I just was obsessing about it. I wanted to pull the container out of the trash and eat what was left over. And then I felt really guilty and ashamed that I was having that thought. It really scared me, because those are the old thoughts that I had all the time, and I haven't had that thought in probably 10 months.
Yeah, so let me ask everybody a question. Who feels guilty sometimes because of what they're thinking? Who thinks that feeling guilty about what you're thinking is logical? Who gives a shit what you're thinking? Angeli's like, I do, because we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
She'll say like, well, I was thinking, and I'm like, oh, who cares, man? They're your thoughts. Nobody cares about your thoughts. You don't have to feel guilty about thinking it. You know, you could give yourself that break and say, wow, like my brain is going back to where I used to be, and I know that that's happening. Okay, that happened. Okay, why do we have to feel guilty about it? You guys, we're addicts. We're addicts. It sucks, but it's the way that it is, and that ain't changing for any of us. We're addicts, we're addicts. What we choose to do as addicts, that we have control over. The fact that we have addictive brains, we don't have any control over that. So when a thought comes in, laugh at yourself, right? And say, wow, you know, that happened. Ruh-roh. Maybe I should share this with somebody else because I bet somebody else is going through it right now, which is what you did. You shared it, right? And I think some people responded to that. I know a lot of people could have responded to that. I'm super glad that you didn't pick up. I'm super glad that you are where you are, and I'm super glad that you're here this morning and that you're starting to feel a little bit better. Facts, feelings aren't facts. They're just feelings, right? I could feel like robbing a bank, but it doesn't mean I have to rob the bank. I could feel like smacking you in the head, but I'm not going to get up and smack you in the head, right? Right? We have those feelings. God, I wish so-and-so would never show up again, but they do. Okay, yeah.
And I just thank you so much for sharing that, because it also brings something else tonight. You post-surgery, I'm also post-surgery, and there's a whole element to that as well. When I hit that 10-month mark, all those feelings started coming back again. You know, the beginning after we have surgery, everything disappears. You know, we are on a cloud and we're not feeling hungry. Everything's different. We're able to eat this much, and all of a sudden, almost a year out, that shifts. It's like forced rehab that we put into, and then life as it was before just shows up again. And for the people who step into recovery before the surgery are just in a stronger position going through this than people all of a sudden who reach this point and go, what the heck happened? Because I thought I fixed the problem. So that is, you know, that's also part of the process. I went through a very similar thing. And a lot of us who do have that surgery, as we hit that 10, 11th, 9-month mark, all these feelings start coming back again unless we've got the tools to start dealing with them.
There was a feed that I wanted to share, but I couldn't share it because it was in a private group. I actually had to have a conversation with Angela about it because I'm like, how do I share this feed? And she's like, you can't. It's in a private group. So thank you for letting me know that. But it was about how, you know, like somebody posted on post-surgical and I'm having all of these other thoughts, and then everybody started talking about being alcoholics. Everybody started talking about, well, I'm 3 months post-surgery or I'm 6 months post-surgery and I drink every night and I can't stop drinking. And there were like 100 people that responded and said, yeah, that's what's going on with me. And I thought about you like that. You guys, if the surgery was the magic bullet, then first of all, every insurance company on the planet would gladly pay for it because it would save them
Sure.
so much money in the long run. And every single person on the planet would have surgery, and then we'd never have a meeting because that was the answer. So again, I always talk about you guys' surgery is like when I was in a treatment center. Yeah, it is a great fix in the beginning, right? It doesn't allow me to eat 63 Oreos, right? Just allows me sooner than later to think about eating 63 Oreos and to find a way to eat 63 Oreos, because I can't tell you how many patients show back up in my office and they're post-surgical and they had lost 100 pounds and they gained back 135. And that's a story that happens all the time. Or the stories that we hear of people that come in that are post-surgical and spiritually nothing's changed, and you're still angry and anxious and upset and alone and miserable, and you start drinking, right? How many shots of tequila, do you need to get drunk? Not that many, and it's a little teeny bit, right? And your stomach gets absorbed real quick, right? So that's something that
It's fat-free.
yeah, no, tequila's not. Well, tequila may be fat-free. It's got some calories. But, and so, congratulations, you're an alcoholic. It's not that you're an alcoholic, and it's not that you're a food addict, and it's not that you're a drug addict. You're an addict. It don't matter what we're picking up. Stop looking at what we're doing and start looking at, why am I doing what I'm doing? What needs to change inside of me? What am I going to choose to change inside of me so that I could live a life and get some happy, right? Get some spiritual happy. Liz, thank you so much. Chris, can we hear from you this morning? And remember, Chris, I know that you don't come that often, so remember you got 15 seconds.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for that reminder. So I'm glad to be here today. Thank you.
Glad
for
you're
letting me-
here.
Thank you for letting me participate on this. Last week was I was kind of going through some stuff, and I don't know. I guess I just finally decided that I was going to take your advice and acknowledge that I'm in control of how I am in the dance, so to speak. You know, if there's something going on that I'm uncomfortable with, or that I'm unhappy with, or whatever.
So I want you to use a feeling word. So last week I was feeling sad, I was feeling scared, I was feeling ashamed, I was feeling uncomfortable, I was feeling something, because when we talk in abstracts, nobody knows
Right.
what we're talking about, and then I don't really believe that helps us get better.
Okay. So last week I was feeling frustrated and
I can't hear.
We can't hear you, sweetie.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're feeling frustrated and
annoyed.
because, and now you got 15 seconds, because.
I was reacting to a comment that was made to me at our previous meeting.
Okay, so you had said something, somebody said something back, and you were feeling frustrated and annoyed.
Right.
So you allowed what somebody else said to
Right.
dictate your mood.
Exactly.
So
And
that means right now that if I say you are the most brilliant person I've ever met, you'll be happy. And if I say I can't believe you're wearing a green shirt because green shirts are ugly, you'll be upset.
well, last week that might have been true, but this week no.
Good, because let me tell you something. My opinion of you, doesn't matter. Who am I?
And you know what? That is the conversation that I had with myself all last
Good.
week
Good girl.
about this, and I'm like, I told her, I said, you know what? I'm going to come to the meeting because I know that I need to be here, and I don't have any control over what anybody else says,
Right.
but I do have control over how I let it affect me.
Of course, allow it to affect you. Good. So good use of words. Yeah. So, okay. So if I'm the nicest person in the world or I'm an asshole, that doesn't have anything to do with you.
Right.
What has to do with you is you showing up, doing your best to do your best, and that's it.
Right.
Right? If Bonnie likes me or not, congratulations, Bonnie. Bonnie could love me or hate me. That's about Bonnie. I'm just going to show up and do my best to do my best.
Right.
If she's got a qualm with me, I'm going to listen if she wants to talk with me about it and see if I think there's some, oh, wow, like, yeah, I didn't realize that that's the way that I came across, and I'd like to apologize. How the rest of the world acts, or I'm just some girl sitting here. You don't need to react to me. Who am I? Right? I'm just some girl in my own space doing my best to do my best. That's all. Right? And that's all. And if you just expect that from yourself and have confidence that if you're showing up and you're doing your best to do your best, that's enough. That's good. Right? We're going to trip, we're going to stumble, we're going to go backwards so that we can go forward, so that we can learn a lesson. And we're going to be these human beings having this spiritual experience. And that's okay. So good choices. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I heard a great quote the other day, and it said, if you live for other people's acceptance, you die by their rejection.
Right. No one should have that power over you. Your feelings are your feelings. Your thoughts are your thoughts. You're entitled to all of that. Do you need to live your life the way that I live my life? Who am I? Right? How you choose to live is what's best for you. And that's enough. right? Hopefully we're on this, this journey of discovery, and we choose every day to move forward a little bit, and maybe to change some things about ourselves, because we would like to get better and be of more service out there, right? And get some more happy so that we can be of service out there. And that's it, yeah.
You raise a really good point. We are where we are right now, and our best thinking is all that we've got. We do have these workshops that we learn together, and we learn how to grow together. And you're not alone. I mean, a lot of people struggle with the same things. Other people's opinions of them, not enough opinion of ourselves. How do we deal with stress? How do we live life as it shows up? These are things that we deal with in workshop, and workshops give us the tools to be able to deal with these things better. Plus, we also have community, and being in community gives us the strength and also wisdom to make better decisions when we're getting information from people who have really good, strong recovery. So the next workshop's coming up at the end of the month. So anyone interested, just start messaging us. We'll post it up on Facebook by the end of today, and it's a great place to come learn.
Yeah, Chris, are you doing your gratitude list or sharing on what's eating you or on the website?
I started, but I have not.
So I'm going to challenge you. I give you guys assignments. I'm going to, right, Laura? I'm going to challenge you. Laura gave it to me yesterday on Facebook. It's pretty funny. I'm going to challenge you every day to go up on one of those sites, one of our sites, and do your gratitude list. And take a little step forward, okay? And you're gonna find that you're not doing that for me or for Haiti or for anybody else in this group, but that it does help us to get a change in perspective, become a part of the community, and see what the community has to offer. Yeah, I think that you might find that helpful, or don't. I mean, that's up to you. But I'm gonna put it out there and challenge you to do that, because I think that it would be really good. I think that it would be a great thing for you to do. And it's going to allow you to be of service to others as well.
And I'd like to extend the challenge to other people out there. So you can either post on Facebook. We've got a What's Eating You page. It's a group. That's a private group. You become a member, and whatever you post, you post. And for those people who are not into social media so much, we also have a website, and we've got a private forum, and you can post there as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for sharing that. Christine, do you want to share today? No? Okay. All right. Hi, Christine. Nice to see you. Karen?
Oops. Good morning.
Karen,
Good morning.
It looks like it just fell on your head.
I did, yes. This week has been not without its challenges, just logistics of moving and things that, you plan as well as you can, but sometimes things don't always happen in my plan. And it's just been easier to step back and say, okay, I've done what I can do. We may have to go to plan B. So it's just been easier to stay out of the chaos and not create that for myself.
Good.
As I would have in the past. Not that I've done perfectly, but just it's been better. It's been easier.
Good. Yeah, good job, you. And so I know that you work on acceptance a lot. And acceptance in each aspect of your life, right? With the people that you hang with, with your family,
absolutely.
The people that you're close to, and then with this move, which happened kind of quickly, right? You guys decided to move and bam, you're out of there. And that's a really big step. How long have you been in the house that you've been in?
12 years.
Yeah, and so it's your home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And you're taking that big step, and you're doing a lot, and physically you're doing a lot, as well as spiritually. It's a lot of change.
Right.
Yeah. And so we talked about how moving is, they say, is worse than like divorce. I was like, I told Karen, maybe you should just get divorced and moved at the same time, because you get all that bad stuff over with. But no, I'm glad that you're okay.
Well, that
you're
may
having
happen
acceptance.
anyway.
Of course. Yeah, of course. So yeah, but I'm really glad that you're having some acceptance for that, because it makes your life easier, right? And
It does, because my making it chaotic for myself doesn't change anything. It just, like you say, adds another layer of misery and angst to what's already going on.
yeah. And thank you, Karen. And I hope you feel better. And Laura's shaking her head. Hey, Laura. What's up, girly? What's up, Miss Kindness? This is Laura. She's kindness and sweetness and light.
I am.
You
That's why I was late this morning. I was out being kind to others.
So Laura talked about how she hates the word kindness.
Yeah.
How it
kind
makes
of-
her crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have had an interesting week. So I've been thinking a lot about the fact that I even mentioned like I hate kindness. I mean, it's not that I hate kindness. I don't like the word
I know.
kindness. And I was like, who says that, right? Why would I not like kindness, right? It's not that I like kindness. I don't like mainstream, airy-fairy, like live, laugh, love, trite kind of like, you know what I mean? Like just go out and be kind today. But here's what I realized. The reason I say that and I'm that way is that I don't think I really understood it, meaning, and I'm working on it, I don't claim to understand it. If I'm not kind to myself, right, if I'm not able to be soft to myself, and I grew up in an environment like that was harsh. So softness is something that I don't trust always, right? Like I have a hard time relating to. And so if I'm not able to access that for myself or to kind of understand it or trust it, I guess it makes sense that then all those attributes that I attach to when I say that word kindness in that way, that I have a struggle with it.
Yeah, and so you grew up in a world where being stoic was your norm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And if you weren't stoic, you were weak.
And tough. You've got to be tough.
Right.
Yeah.
So no emotion, and you're
Yeah.
a tough chick. Otherwise, you got trampled on, right? And you
Oh, yeah.
spiritually got the shit kicked out of you. You did.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. And so since you grew up looking at that as a form or a sign of weakness, it makes sense as an adult. You have this thing about weak women.
Yes.
And you have this thing how emotion makes you weak because you were brought up with your sense of self so friggin' skewed that you don't understand that it's okay to be kind, and it's okay to be soft, and it's okay to have an ouch sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's okay spiritually to have that Hare Krishna moment, and it doesn't make you weak, man. It just makes you human, and it's part of what makes you cool and what makes you
Right.
nice and what makes you relatable to others, and that it ain't so bad to be kind and caring. And you know what? If the people out there are doing their live, love, laugh thing, who cares?
Right. That's right.
Right? So
That's
be
right.
it. If it makes me happy to have live, love, laugh all over my house just because everybody else is doing it, you want to
Right.
judge me for it? That's cool. Or
Yeah.
or you could let it be.
That's right.
The thing is that you are kind, and that you are cool, and that you've had your ouches, and it's just what makes you who you are, baby. You're really we hung out with you, right? So I know that you're a really good girl, and that's okay, right? You don't have to be tough always on the outside. When we talk about sarcasm, you're very funny. I mean, you're hysterically funny, and we know that about you. And a lot of that has to do with sarcasm, and sarcasm is a way of deflecting any kind of feeling, right? And so this stuff that you're looking at, I know it's not the norm for you to take a look at it, but I'm really glad that you are.
Yeah, it's good. And it's been interesting though, because I've asked people that are not in our group, right? I've mentioned something to them again, because I was kind of processing. I'm like, who the hell says they, they're anti-word kindness? I'm like, even that, I'm like, what's that all about? And when they would come back and be like, Laura, I don't know what you're talking about. You're so, kind. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, Laura, we don't experience you the way in my head.
Yeah.
They're like, you are kind. And so anyway, it's been a great week. Glad to be with everybody. And I'm busy being kind.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you are, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm really glad that you're here, yeah.
Thank you.
Laura, thank you so much for sharing, because this is such a great point. It resonates with me a lot. I grew up in a society, and it wasn't just me and my family. We grew up in a society where you always live for others in terms of the way other people perceived you was more important, and the way you presented was everything rather than what you're feeling. And the toughest thing for me to embrace and learn how to deal with is my vulnerability and actually showing it. And part of that is honesty. And the crazy thing is, people respond more to our vulnerability and our honesty, and they connect with us at a higher level when we actually share that. And that's my toughest area of learning that I'm working on. And it resonates with so many people because, you know, we always think that this is so much more important than this, and it's upside down.
And you guys, we also don't want to mistake vulnerability for complaining.
Right.
So we want to pay attention to walking that fine line between I'm having this challenge and I'd like to share it with you because I need some help, and sitting for 6 hours and complaining about my life, because nobody needs to be listening to that, right? So there's that difference also, and that's spiritually that kind of shows us where we're at. Do I feel like complaining for 6 hours today, or am I having a challenge and I'm going to share it with somebody because I need some help? Right? So we're always going to check our motives. Am I complaining because I want you to get on board and hang out with me during this pity party, or am I having some feelings and I need some help? Right? Or am I having feelings and I don't need help, but I would like to share them with you? You know, as opposed to just sharing that I'm miserable. Okay? I'm wanting to get that help. Hey, Bonnie.
Hey.
Thank you, Laura. You're so kind
Right.
for sharing. Thank you.
I got a lot of good things popping up in my head from everyone's share. So I don't know if I've ever gone in the garbage, but I've definitely had thought. So I'm qualified with that. But then it made me think of dinner last night. So I was so proud that I had the waiter make sure this wasn't in, that wasn't in, and the food came out great. And I wound up eating everything on the plate. Now, it was just like a lot of extra vegetables and stuff, but I still have that thing where about 80% full, I could have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. And then I was 100% full, and then I'm like, I'm stuffed. So I'm that compulsive need to finish. I could have, so that's just there. And I see like in my week, like that's still kind of rearing.
So from everybody, I want to know how to make that better. So I go out to dinner and I order chicken and vegetables and salad, and they bring me a plate, which, as somebody with past anorexia, I'm gonna tell you, they bring you a plate of food like this, and I'm like, I'm not touching that because it's just too much food. Mm-hmm. But how can we simplify that? Remember, if I feel like drinking, I don't go hang out in the bar, right? And so I'm gonna have dinner at a restaurant, so I'm not gonna sit at the bar. I'm gonna sit kind of far away from the bar. Can somebody give me a suggestion as to when I have this much food on my plate? Ange, and then I'm gonna get to you.
You could ask them to put away half of the food.
Yeah, of
Or give you a
course.
smaller plate.
Of course, bring me a smaller plate, which I always ask
do.
for. Always.
Always
Can you
ask
bring me a smaller plate? And I make myself a plate of food, and I say to the waiter, "Can you put this for me for tomorrow? I'm going to eat this for dinner tomorrow. Can you box that up for me?" And then I'm not sitting at the bar, right?
Yeah.
Right? Somebody comes around with wine. Can you not come around with wine? You know, or no, I don't want the bottle of wine on the table. Okay. Okay, right? Or the bread. Don't bring it. Please don't put the bread on the table. Take half of your food, which I can promise you at most restaurants is enough.
Right.
Yeah, and you know that you have the other half for tomorrow night's dinner. How great is that? I don't even have to think about lunch or dinner tomorrow. I already got it done. So that's a win-win. So do the things those tools, use those, because it's going to give you so much. And if you know, I'm going to go to a restaurant, this is my plan.
Right.
I'm not going to sit at the bar. Right? I'm going to ask for another plate, and I'm going to eat half of my food. Bam. Now I don't have anything that I have to think of except for, wow, this is a beautiful place, and it's so nice to be out with friends or with my hubby or whatever.
Yeah.
Use those tools.
Definitely. Yeah, and I see that I have not, like, I've gotten out of that pattern. The other side, I was conscious of eating, but I know I've been falling back into that, like, just eat and not, like, remember that I'm actually eating. Like that whole fear of eating. Not that I was afraid of eating last night, but I noticed, like, I was waiting for it. He made it the way I wanted it. I got it exactly, and just to enjoy it instead of shoving it down or something.
Right, so again, if you
Same
had
thing.
half the amount of food
Yeah.
on your plate, you wouldn't have had to
You
go
wouldn't have
through
that
all that.
experience.
So,
Yeah,
simple
okay.
thing, and remember, that's kind of like saying, well, you know, you went to the dentist and he asked you if you wanted a prescription for Percocet,
Right.
and instead of you saying, sure, maybe you could give me 200 of them, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Sure, you know, maybe I could use like 4. You know, and take one every 12 hours like a normal person does
Right.
when they've just had surgery, as opposed to, you know, going through that in my head. Well, you know, I have this many, it's
Right.
there, I might as well eat them. Same thing. I mean, it's only 30, they're so small. You might as well just eat them and get it done because you're in a lot of pain and you're going to feel better later anyway. It's the same
I
thing.
know.
Take the Percocets out of the pill bottle, give them to somebody else.
Right.
Same.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's like, you know, like I was looking at, I could have just had them take the box, and in my mind I'm like, oh, it's not worth it. It's not that much. But of course the feeling I had afterwards was it was more than enough. And
And the feeling you had before was you were an addict brain.
yeah,
The same addict brain that tells me that it's okay for me to have 30 Percocet in my purse is the same addict brain that tells you that it's okay to have this much food. Same shit. Different substance. Right? So let's think before we act.
Yeah, and I'm glad I said that because we're going on a cruise next week. Although I do really well with cruises because that actually is a place where I could do well. But being that I'm in that addict brain and going on the cruise, maybe I don't know if that's what was getting me nervous, even though I'm preparing for what how I prepare. And I'm glad because that is the last thing I want to do is to fall out of recovery.
Yeah, and so just plan and know that you're, I've been on a